So to the disappointment of many, the Ghost and Molly McGee is over. It only ran for 2 seasons and ended on a really beautiful note, honestly. I just finished watching the episode, and I really loved it. I was like kind of just binging through season 2, and the season 2 is great. I honestly think it was far better than the first season. The writing, the characters, everything, even the song numbers, so much better. I really loved the video game episode. As a avid fan of video games myself, I thought that was really enjoyable. The episode where Molly has no fear is another great one. The penultimate episode where Jinx tries to take over the human world, that was pretty cool. I never thought Jinx was really that interesting of a character until that episode, when she actually poses a real threat and not just kind of be like some little mischievous gremlin kind of character. But the finale kind of came out of nowhere and hit like a truck, dude. It actually did. And I absolutely love the foreshadowing that I've seen fans spot from this already. The reveal of Scratch not actually being a ghost, but actually being a wraith. And I believe, to my knowledge, there were fan theories out there about this already existing, and people had already theorized him to be this Todd guy, which turns out to be true. That actually was him. And as somebody who wasn't watching these theory videos or paying close enough attention, that was great. It was like this character was here all along, although we always saw as just kind of some depressed, one-off side character. But he was actually the main, one of the main characters, Scratch. It was him. And the message of the show, the final message, was so good. Because The Ghost of Molly McGee is honestly a really special show. I literally like watching shows that, like Amphibian Owl House, I've talked about those a lot, that have really, really strong characters and plots and stories. And I also like Big City Greens, that has small little arcs here and there, and it's really about the family and whatnot. But The Ghost of Molly McGee is really odd. It has a modern spin on a lot of tropes, I guess you could say. It feels like it recognizes a lot of tropes and story things that have been used in many other episodic Disney shows and whatnot, but always put some sort of unique spin on it, or they always add some unique commentary on either pre-existing tropes, things that exist in modern day. For example, there's a whole episode dedicated to TikTok, which is wow, that's a thing. Interesting. You could definitely tell that the writers know what they're talking about, right? They're not hello fellow kids kind of people. They're in touch, right? They're in touch with their audience, and they know exactly what they want to create. And not only are they in touch with their audience, the show itself is absolutely amazing at delivering such positive messages, with Molly McGee at the forefront being the positive, overly positive teenage girl type character that we've seen all the time. I feel like it works better in this show, teaching many, many lessons of helping out the community, and just with every single episode, it just feels like there's a positive moral at the end of it, which is the case with a lot of these types of shows, right? In almost all the Disney shows, it feels like there's always a moral. But with The Ghost of Molly McGee, it feels like it adds a little extra commentary, a little extra spice to it. But it was thoroughly entertaining. There are some episodes that I think are just kind of they're fine. But it seems like the latter half of season 2 was just pretty much banger after banger. They were all good episodes. They were all really good episodes. But to talk a bit more about the final episode specifically, it really did kind of catch me off guard. Throughout season 2, there were several episodes that sort of led up to this, right? We had Scratch looking into his past memories, I think, for 2 dedicated episodes. And then, maybe some little plot points here and there. But in this final episode, simply just by chance, because he wanted to eat freaking funnel cakes or whatever, he possessed his original body, Todd Mortensen, and learned his past memories. That he was actually this guy, and that throughout his entire life, he had this best friend who traveled the world, and he would only watch her from afar. He was always too scared to go with her. He didn't want to take any risks, always played it safe, and I will not lie, the fact of Scratch sort of having this feeling of playing it safe, doesn't want to take risks and whatnot, it felt a little rushed in my opinion, just a little rushed in, but it does really work for his character, right? Because he's always been, especially at the beginning of the series, Molly had to force him into doing everything, right? He always did play it safe. He always just sat around wanting to eat things. He was never a go-getter, right? It always took Molly to be the one to drive the show forward. It was never Scratch who drove the show forward. It was always him being driven forward by Molly, and then eventually kind of just going along with it after getting used to her, after they started becoming friends. And throughout all the adventures they had, and like however many episodes there were in the show, I want to say that like there's around 40, Molly really rubbed off on him. He started becoming a lot more adventurous. He started doing things a lot more off on his own. And then in the final sort of scene, I guess, when he's worried, what if he returns to his human body? Will he lose the memories that he made as a ghost? He would lose all that time with Molly. And I thought it was so cool because that's exactly what happened. And I honestly love the decision here that they made at the end of the episode where they didn't pull a cop-out, right? Scratch lost his memories of being a ghost. He still has the experience, right? He still has like the subconscious memory. So, you know, maybe they'll return one day, but the show doesn't confirm that, right? It doesn't confirm that. And I love that because at the end of Gravity Falls, if you've seen the ending of Gravity Falls, spoilers if you haven't seen it, Grunkle Stan sacrifices himself to defeat Bill Cipher, and he loses his memories. But like 3 minutes later, it's just like, oh, they're coming back. Okay, sure. And, you know, as much as I love Gravity Falls, it's opinion-based thing. It's obviously an opinion-based thing. But I personally would have liked Grunkle Stan to actually lose his memories. I think because it was a Disney Channel show, maybe they didn't want to do that. But I honestly think it would have been better if he actually lost his memories and then just, like, had to reset. Or maybe it's like they don't come back as fast, right? Because they came back, like, so fast. They came back within, like, I want to say, like, maybe a couple days. I don't remember. Maybe, like, even minutes. Which was kind of sad to see. It just felt like a huge cop-out. Like, why the heck does it defeat Bill, but not make Stan lose his memories? I don't know. Like, you could obviously make them, like, return over time, but it just felt like a little bit of a cop-out for me, right? But that's not the case with Scratch. When he loses his memories, they're gone. And that was great. There are some, like, little hints. I think he did say Molly's name at the end there or something. And he referenced a few of the things, like, he said, oh, I feel inhapified or whatever. He's like, what's not even a word, but I'm going to use that on my freaking adventures. And that was like, yeah, okay, so he has, like, subconscious memories of their time together. Their time together did affect him and his personality, like, in the experiences that he can draw on. Like, it definitely changed him because he got his spirit back. And with his spirit being a happy thing, thanks to Molly, now he, as a human, can live the rest of his life. And honestly, for somebody who is in their early 20s, I found Scratch's story to be really relatable, right? Because as somebody who is, you know, growing older, I constantly, this is gonna be kind of dark, but I think about death a lot, right? I keep thinking about, like, wow, I'm gonna die one day, and all the things that I experience now, I'll never be able to again. It's like going to sleep but never waking up again. And that kind of freaks me out, right? Every once in a while I think about it a little, it's definitely like late at night. It's horrible to think about it late at night. And that kind of scares me, right? It's a little scary, but then I kind of just like, you know, all right, listen, I'm alive. Might as well just focus on like what happens while I'm alive, right? You know, there's no point in worrying about death while you're still alive. Because like it's going to come either way. So like, why would you make yourself so anxious and scared worrying about it when it's gonna happen either way, right? That's kind of how I make myself stop thinking about it. And I really kind of like how they touched upon the fear of death in this episode and how you deal with that, right? Because Scratch didn't live because he was too scared, maybe not necessarily of dying, but just too scared in his life. So he wasn't even living, and that's why he became a wraith, because he stopped taking risks. He stopped doing anything. He stopped living, basically. He just took the easy way out every time. And that kind of made me think about like my own life a lot. What places have I taken the easy way out? Or what risks should I take in the future, right? Or like, should I play it safe? Should I take a risk here? Obviously, you know, you can't just be like, oh, take risks all the time because live, haha, you gotta live. Obviously, like, you know, some risks are not worth taking, but if you take no risks, you're never going to learn, you're never going to grow, you're never going to experience life. And I loved that message of the show, right? I really, really loved that message of the show because it felt so important for Scratch as a character. And in the final scene of the show, we can see that this has truly affected him. He seems like such a positive and happy guy. Like all the McGee's and all their friends, they're trying to trick him into being like, oh, look at these things that will remind you of your ghost life or how we hung out together. But he doesn't remember any of it, right? He's like, oh yeah, that seems cool, but I'm off to go do my own thing. I'm off to go explore Chicago and then the rest of the world or whatever with my best friend Adia, which they do reunite. You can see like a little picture of them reuniting in the credits, which I thought was really awesome because all these years she's been waiting for him to go adventuring with her, and now he finally can. Something about that just feels really, really special because it's like not just for like kids, I guess, because it was like a very touching ending for kids, but I really feel like it speaks to me like as an adult as well, where there's a lot of things in life where I feel like I might not ever be able to get to do this, or perhaps it's too late for me to do this. And as for Scratch's age, it's not really revealed. I don't know if it like said specifically how old he was. I think maybe you could like go back into it and look, but he looks like middle age, right? So he could be anywhere from like 30 to, I'll say 50. There's no way he's 50, but I'm gonna say like he's probably between 30 and 40, right? You're getting up there in age, and I'm sure a lot of people who are like a lot older than me, like if I was 40 right now and I was where I am now, I'd be like, how much time do I have left in my life? Like, is it too late for me? Like, is it too late for me to go on all these adventures, do all the things that I want to do? And I love that about Scratch's character, because he's just like, yeah, you know what the heck? I'm just gonna do it. Like, he actually just sells his house and everything, and he just goes out on adventures. Like, obviously, again, you know, you got to worry about like actual adult things, like, you know, where you're gonna live and whatnot, all your relationships. Finances are a big thing, especially nowadays. But I love this part of his character, where he's finally not scared anymore. He's not afraid to shut himself out in the world. He's okay with sharing himself with the world, and that's really brave. That's really cool, and a great way to end this show. You know, the Ghost and Molly McGee, from the sound of it, it just sounds like a funny show, like a positive girl and her ghost little buddy going out on silly little ghost theme adventures. And for somebody who watched the first season and was like, okay, this is cool, I feel like they could utilize the ghost more. It's fine. They definitely utilized the ghost theme a lot more in season 2, by bringing in the ghost hunters and touching the subject of death, which was like honestly surprising for such a positive show as this. And there's honestly a really beautiful speech by Libby at the ending of the episode too, which kind of just wraps the whole story together. I can't help but wonder, is this something that they had in their minds from the beginning? Is this how they knew the show would end? Because as a writer, you're like, okay, well, this is how our story starts. Here's how it ends. Now let's just write the middle and how we get to that point. Like, that's how you write a lot of the stories. At least I can only assume. And it's always the journey in like the middle of these plots and adventures that make the final episodes hit that much harder. And that's 100% the case with Scratch. And I can't wait to maybe potentially rewatch the entire show, to maybe look at some Scratch moments throughout season 1 and probably a lot through season 2 that sort of recontextualize Scratch's character and how he lived his life as this Todd guy. I'm sure there's a lot of hidden gems and hidden lines in there that would be really, really cool to revisit. So I'll definitely have to do that sometime. And I think I'm gonna leave it there. I just wanted to quickly put out my thoughts on the ending of this season and the ending of this show. I guess my freaking Molly McGee future is looking bright videos aged pretty poorly, which is a little sad. I also heard that the ratings for this episode weren't exactly that good either, which is honestly pretty sad to see. Apparently the ratings were worse than both Owl House and Amphibia's. So that's a little depressing, which is sad because this is quite the beautiful ending. I'd say the ending and its message probably rivals those two shows. Potentially, maybe it doesn't have like the build up and the story, but I think the message is just on par with the other two shows. It's beautiful, and it's really sad to see this show come to an end. I won't even lie. 2 seasons does not feel long enough for this show, and it makes me worried about other Disney Channel shows. Like, the only really other one that I know that's going on right now that I'm a fan of is Big City Greens. And I don't think Big City Greens is stopping anytime soon. They're still having a movie. Maybe I shouldn't say that though, because when I said that about Molly McGee, thinking it had a bright future, it did end. But yeah, I guess I'm a little confused as to what's going to be next for Disney TVA. It's going to be sad not to see this show anymore. Even though I was never like a diehard fan of it, I was like watching every single episode when it came out, it was still really enjoyable. And the finale is honestly gonna stick with me. But yeah, that is going to be it for me. I still have a lot more thoughts on the rest of the season that I could share, but I don't know if I'll make that or when it will come. I'm not really sure. I just wanted to put up my thoughts on the finale since it just came out somewhat recently. So let me know what you thought about the finale of The Ghost and Molly McGee. I'm curious to hear what people think, especially about Scratch and his resolution. So yeah, let me know in those good old comments, everybody. And that will be it for me. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I will see you all later. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
What is a fear of living? It's being preeminently afraid of dying. It is not doing what you came here to do out of timidity and spinelessness. The antidote is to take full responsibility for yourself, for the time you take up and the space you occupy. If you don't know what you're here to do, then just do some good.